What I did in the past, and these are the mistakes that I made when trying to read in Spanish, is every time I came across a word I didn't understand, I would stop and try to look it up. Don't do that. Yeah. So I want to give a couple of tips about how you can read more in Spanish this year. So I think the first tip is finding level appropriate books. I actually suggest if you're not at least low intermediate level, don't start reading novels, don't start reading 200-page books in Spanish. It's going to become frustrating. It's going to get to the point where it's like, you know what, it's so difficult to get through this, you'll just stop reading. At this point, you need to read children's books. You need to look at los cuentos, like old fables, stories like that. So finding the appropriate level is really important. I have the benefit, I work at a school, so I have a library available to me in the school being completely bilingual. I go to librarians and I know I read at about a 6th to 7th grade reading level compared to my students. So I normally, what I do is I find the books that my students are reading. I check out that book and I try to read it at the same pace that they're reading. And this could be 1 month, this could be 2 months, depending on the lesson, because they don't only focus on the book, they're also encompassing different things within their lessons. Now, this has worked for me successfully. In my lifetime doing this, I've been able to get through 2 to 3 books per year, reading at the same pace as my 6th and 7th grade students. But I find that it is still very difficult. What I did in the past, and these are the mistakes that I made when trying to read in Spanish, is every time I came across a word I didn't understand, I would stop and try to look it up. Don't do that. Imagine there's 10 words in one page that you don't understand. And instead of trying to understand it within context, you look up those words. That's going to stop you and take you from the flow, the natural flow of reading. What you should do instead is try to understand it in context. Now, if the word keeps coming up and it's something very critical to the plot, then you do need to look up that word. But if not, just keep it moving. The same thing happens to us in English. We come across words we don't know. There are hundreds of thousands of words in the English language. It would be impossible to know all of them. But because our level of English is so good, we're native speakers, we understand what they're saying in context most times. So if you understand what's going on more or less, just keep reading, because the moment you stop to look up that word, it's going to take you away from what you're trying to do. Now, what I did in the past as well was I tried to do increments. I'm like, all right, I want to read for 10 minutes straight. So I would try to read for 10 minutes straight. I'll set a timer, and what I find myself doing is looking at the clock the entire time. It's like, okay, it's only been 3 minutes, it's only been 5 minutes, and again, it kind of takes away and distracts from the actual reading process. So what I did find that's working really well right now is by having the physical book. Let me see. So this book is called Like Water for Chocolate, Como Agua para Chocolate. I've had this book, I don't know, over a decade. My ex bought this for me. Shout out to my ex for trying to help me read. I was not ready to read this book when she got me this book. I tried and tried and tried. No matter how hard I tried to push through it, I just wasn't at the right level. So that's why finding level appropriateness is really important. Well, 2024 hits, I get my Audible credit. And you know what? Instead of getting another self-help book, I'm like 5 books that I haven't even looked at yet. Let me just go ahead and get the same book I already have in print. Let me get that in Spanish for Audible. And what I realized is that I'm able to get through one chapter really quickly, 30 minutes per chapter, let's say, and one day. Sometimes I'm actually able to double up and do 2 chapters in the same day, where I was struggling to read 10 pages before without doing the audiobook version plus the physical book. And the good thing about Audible or books or whatever other audio format that you want to listen to, I don't have a contract with any of them, you can change the speeds. So when I first started this book, I had it at 0.8. Then I moved it up to 0.9, and I moved it up to 1.0. Now I'm staying at 1.0. Now anything slower than 0.8 sounds ridiculous.
It's just almost too slow.
Your brain will start shutting off because of the lack of stimulation. So if you can't listen to it at least 0.8, getting to 0.9, I would say the level is still too quick for you and still too advanced for you. And then just try to set realistic goals. A chapter a day for when you actually do sit down and read is going to be very important. Also, make sure that the way I approach it is that I play the audiobook from my iPad. and I put my phone on airplane mode and I put it somewhere else in the house. So I don't want my phone anywhere around. If you put the audiobook on your phone and you have your phone present, it's going to be very easy to jump on WhatsApp, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and it's going to distract you away from it, or a message pops up. So I have it on my iPad. I have my phone somewhere else in airplane mode, and I try to just make sure that I have great lighting, have my coffee ready, kind of set everything up for success and be realistic. Now, if you're not ready for 30 minutes, try 15 minutes. And you can kind of see on the iPad where you're at as far as time is concerned, and just kind of track it from there. And then you also can take breaks. So say the plan is to do 30 minutes today, do 15 minutes, take a bathroom break, drink some water, get back to it and knock it out. But I'm telling you, again, I had this book for over a decade, and right now I'm 10 chapters in, and I just started reading this since I got back from the States. So I've been reading this since January 10th. And in 10 days, I've gotten further along in this book than I have in 10 years. And it's all due to this method, again, that Alex Hormozi was talking about, listening to the audiobook and reading the physical book at the same time. Now, if you don't have the physical book, you can also do a Kindle written book. This works as well. And this is something you can use for novels. Obviously, it's something you can use for self-help, for information. And it's just a cool approach. But I think also, in lieu of finding something that's appropriate, I think it's really important to find something that you find interesting. This book is kind of like a love romance, not usually my genre. I love sci-fi. There are some sci-fi supernatural elements to this book. And this book piqued my interest years ago because Common, one of my favorite rappers from Chicago, made an album called Like Water for Chocolate, and he talked about the plot of this book. So that's one of the reasons why this is. Other books that I have read in Spanish that I didn't do this method was The Alchemist. So Alchemist was originally written in Portuguese because Paulo Coelho, the author, is from Brazil, if I'm not mistaken. And then I read it in English first. And then after reading English like 10 times, it's a very short read, I read it in Spanish. It took me a month to read the book in Spanish, and it took me 2 days to read it in English. So that shows you the difference. I think using this method, honestly, I think I could get through The Alchemist right now in probably 4 or 5 days. So I'm gonna try it again, actually. I'm gonna try The Alchemist next time I get another Audible credit. I'm not paying for another book right now. I got a few more books that have been just collecting dust in my apartment, and I'm gonna use the Audible credits, try to get through them. The goal is to just do 1 book a month in Spanish and see where it takes me. You guys can follow me on this journey. I'll talk a little bit more about it. And guys, if you want to learn a little bit more about Spanish, you want some tips, let me know in the comments below. I'm trying to help people this year, just really get to that at least intermediate level. I don't know if that's like B1, B2. I don't get into those letter levels. People ask me, are you C1, C2? I'm like, no, I'm Darian George. I don't know what letters you guys are throwing out. Guys, fluency can be determined by a grade, but also just the way you feel when you're speaking with people, how natural it comes out. I know people that's actually gotten really high grades on those exams and still aren't fluent. I know people that have not done great on those exams and speak just fine. So don't put too much time, energy, and effort into worrying about whether you're C1 or C2. Just put the work in, it's input, output.
Yeah. Y'all know what time it is, man. We represent to go on this one. Yeah.